So we got together for a fishing trip, 3 couples, me and Laura, my friend Owen and his wife Karen, and Scott and his wife Lisa. As usual, we decided to get out into the countryside, relax, grill kebabs, and just relax. It was a warm fall day, the kind where the golden leaves seemed to shimmer in the sunlight, and a light breeze carried the earthy scent of fallen leaves. When we arrived at the site, everything was as it should be. Tents, portable grill, fishing rods, all the essentials to make the day perfect. Laura, Karen, and Lisa immediately got to work setting up, unpacking groceries, setting up chairs and small folding tables. Meanwhile, we men naturally got busy with vodka and kebabs. The familiar clinking of bottles and the sound of knives cutting vegetables filled the air, harmonizing with the rustling of leaves. While the meat was marinating, we decided not to waste any time. First, we had a glass of beer. Conversations began, heart-to-heart talks, jokes and anecdotes that seemed to bring us closer together. The women sipped wine, laughed, and chatted about their own topics, occasionally glancing at us with playful smiles. Everything seemed the same as always. The crackling fire, the stars piercing through the darkness, and the sense of camaraderie that makes these moments unforgettable. By the time it got dark, we were all feeling good. The kebabs were ready, their aroma tantalizing as the juices sizzled on the grill. We sat together and indulged in reminiscing like old times. Laura and Karen were whispering about something, snuggled up against each other, and Lisa snuggled up to Scott, giggling at one of his jokes. I looked around and thought, this is it, life. This is what it's all about. It was dark in the forest, the stars sparkled overhead like tiny diamonds scattered across velvet, and the warmth from the fire enveloped us like a comforting hug. Although technically it was already fall, the summer warmth still lingered in the air. The silence of the forest was broken only by the crackling of wood, the faint buzzing of mosquitoes, and the rare cries of an owl in the distance. Toward nightfall, when everyone had had a lot to drink, we all went to our tents. Laura and I set up in ours, Owen and Karen in theirs, and Scott and Lisa in the other. Tired and tipsy from the day's activities, we quickly began to drift off to sleep. Laura fell asleep almost immediately, her steady breathing soothing in the silence of the tent, but I lay there unable to sleep. Though I was exhausted, something kept me tossing and turning, and my thoughts wandered aimlessly. I heard a rustle near the fire and thought that perhaps someone was putting up wood. Curiosity got the best of me, and I stepped out of the tent to check it out. When I came out, I was blasted by the cool night air. Karen was sitting by the fire, alone. Owen was nowhere to be seen. The light of the fire danced across her face, giving it an almost ethereal glow. I asked why she was awake, and she replied, "I just can't sleep." She looked at me with a look I couldn't interpret, a mixture of vulnerability and something else I couldn't define. I sat down next to her, feeling the warmth of the dying fire on my skin, and then even closer. The night was warm, the fire was still crackling quietly, and the vodka had done its job, leaving us both in a hazy, relaxed state. I looked at her, and she looked at me in return. Her gaze lingered, and for a moment, seemed as if time had stopped. And then, somehow, it just happened. There were no words, just eyes and breath and hands. Karen and eventually we moved away from the fire to where the willow bushes grew, their slender branches swaying gently in the wind. Everything unfolded quickly, silently, as if on autopilot. The fire had almost burned out, and only smoldering embers remained, casting a faint red light around us. I didn't think about anything at that moment. Everything happened by itself, as naturally as the fire was burning out in the wood. We sat in silence afterward, the weight of what had just happened settling heavily between us. I didn't know what to say, and neither did she. My mind was foggy, a whirlwind of emotions raged inside me, and a heavy feeling settled on my soul, as if I had done something wrong. But by then, it was too late. Eventually, Karen got up and quietly walked back into the tent, her footsteps barely audible on the soft ground. I stood by the fire for a while longer, staring at the embers in deep in thought. The silence of the night seemed louder, pressing down on me, and the air seemed colder than before. The next morning, everyone gathered as if nothing had happened. The sun had risen, coloring the forest in warm golden hues. Laura laughed, her voice light and carefree, and Owen made toasts with his usual enthusiasm. Scott and Lisa were bickering playfully about something trivial, their laughter reinforcing the conversation. I sat watching Karen from around the campfire and realized the gravity of what we had done the night before. Her expression was unreadable, her smile the same as always, but I couldn't shake the memory of her eyes in the firelight. The day passed, but the night stayed in me, its echoes a constant reminder of a moment that could never be undone.